Foam rolling the calf. Okay, it's pretty straightforward as far as what we're doing here. It can be a little awkward though when you first do it. So you can see Janelle's doing, first of all, she's got one leg crossed over the other. This allows her to actually take the top leg and press down, which will create a little bit more pressure onto that foam roller. And then you kind of have to put the hands behind you, maybe lift the butt a little bit and kind of walk yourself up and down a little bit. What we're trying to do basically is go all the way down towards the ankle, all the way up towards the back of the knee. When you find a knotted up spot, you're just going to kind of work it, dig into it. If you find, a lot of people have really tight, very sensitive calves, what you can go ahead and do is take this top leg off, okay, and just be real gentle and maybe just ride up and down a little bit. You could bend this leg, and that could help you lift the body up if you have a difficult time, you lack maybe some of the arm strength or core strength to do this, and we can go ahead and just work that calf into the foam roller, digging in, trying to get those knots out and get the calves warmed up so we can prevent any kind of pulls or injuries in the exercise program. So there you have it, foam rolling the calf. Foam rolling the quad, pretty much getting on top of the roller, right about underneath the hip, and we're going to walk ourselves essentially up and down the roller. I always kind of think of this one as taking a rolling pin and you're rolling out the dough. You're going right up the front of the leg. If you want to make this more simple or less aggressive, you've got the position like Janelle's doing. She's got the opposite leg just on the ground and she's just kind of crawling up and down. If she wants to make this more aggressive, she'll go ahead and put this leg on top. And now she's got both legs in the air, so all of her weight now is on that roller, pushing down the quad right into the roller. She's got a little side-to-side shimmy going on because it's a big muscle. We want to get all aspects, find out where those knots, where that tension is. Okay, I've seen people fall off the roller. Janelle almost just did there. That's okay. She's just going to work it up and down, again, rolling out the dough. Think of it like if you hit a speed bump on the way, stop and go back and forth over that speed bump and really trying to flatten it out, if you will. Great, very simple foam rolling exercise that can really make a difference in the tenderness and just kind of the suppleness, if you will, of those muscles and really loosen things up, especially before big movements like squats. If you're feeling a lot of pain when you're doing this rolling activity, last thing you want to do is go do big heavy squats or run or things of that nature because those muscles are really locked up and tight. So foam rolling prior to that really going to help make a big difference. Foam rolling the quad. Our hip flexor quad stretch. So I'm going to show you a couple different progressions here, starting with just focusing on the hip flexor. First thing we're going to do is want to get Janelle into the 90-90 position. So we want to make sure the knee is directly over the ankle. We can actually pull that ankle back a little bit. And we want to make sure the hip is right over the knee. So we've got a good 90-90 position. Now here's a great way to test to make sure you're in a proper 90-90 position. Because the 90-90 split position, what it basically represents is it's a regression of standing on one leg. So all the pressure should be down in that right leg of hers. So if she can lift her front foot, she knows she's in the right position, okay? If you have difficulty lifting that foot, you've got to adjust your position. So now we know she's good. So what we're going to do is she's going to work a good breathing pattern, 3 in, 6 out like we like to do. And as she's exhaling, she's going to squeeze this right butt cheek and she's going to drive her hip forward, stretching out that hip flexor. Now if you're real tight, just getting into this position and breathing, you're going to feel it. So work at your level, but if she wants to kind of drive her hips forward, she's going to get a little more of a stretch. Notice the posture though. She's not leaning into this. That's not the idea. If I'm leaning into it, I'm not going to stretch out this hip flexor. So she's staying nice and tall. That's perfect. Now if that feels good, and we're ready to add the quad stretch into that with the hip flexor, she'll go ahead, it requires a little bit of balance. She's going to reach, she's going to grab that foot, and she's going to try to get back into a nice tall posture, stretching out that quad, okay? And just focusing on, again, that good, comfortable breathing pattern. You can even start to visualize breathing into the hip, and when you exhale, really getting a nice deep stretch. If you're looking for more of a stretch than that, you can do this off of something like a low ballet bar or a bed, like almost like a Bulgarian split squat. Or I'm going to go ahead and show you another version. It's a little awkward to get into. If you had a pad, it would be much nicer. I've got the mat here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right knee and I'm going to put it right down here by the corner of the wall. Okay, and then I'm not quite stretched out just yet, so I'm not going to go all the way back. And then I can just, from this position here, lean back. Now if I want to get a little bit more, I can bring this foot here, and I'm going to get nice and tall. There we go. So I'm not quite there yet. I can feel that stretch quite a bit. The idea is to get the back all the way against the wall. After a good warm-up, I can do that. okay, but I'm gonna get a tremendous quad stretch. So if you don't feel it with the standard stretch like Janelle was showing, then you can go ahead and you can put that foot into that corner of the floor and where the floor and the wall meet, get a much more advanced stretch. On the other side, if what Janelle was doing was a little bit too much for you, you can start off with a basic standing up quad stretch right here. You can also do this lying on your side. So there's a couple of progressions and regressions. The idea is we're working a hip flexor and quad stretch. Half kneeling ankle mobility drill, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get her into that standard 90-90 position, hips over the knee, knees over the ankle. She should be able to lift that front foot. So we know she's in a good position and the weight is primarily on the back leg. Now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna give you a visual here. Okay, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm gonna take about a fist length right in front of her foot and I'm gonna put the pole here, okay? Now she should be able to bring this knee to the pole without the heel coming up, okay? And we can even have her drive to the outside of the pole, keeping that heel down, getting some good mobility, so she's pretty good there. Now you'll see a lot of folks come forward and stop right there. They've got nothing there, okay? And if that's you, you want to work this. You can also do this against a wall, okay? So it's gonna, obviously it's gonna be a little bit closer. You can start here and just, okay, great, I'm touching that wall, I'm getting there. And then eventually move it out and move it out and move it out so that we can get some mobility in that ankle. This is one we see a lot with lunging. People have difficulty lunging or doing squats. They lack the mobility down in the ankle, so their heels are coming up and it's creating all kinds of problems for them. Runners should pay attention to this one as well if they're starting to get a lot of calves locked up. So this is the ankle mobility drill. You can just test yourself. If you can't put a pole about fist length away from your toe and you're not able to bring your knee to that pole, then you know you need to work this drill.